Steffi's pregnant. We're going to have a third child. No, I'm kidding. No. I'm just a joke. Only two.
Andre Agassi and Steffi Graf's world revolves around their two children, Jaden Gill and Jazz Ellie.
I think it's fair to say that a child gets exposed to some different things, and a parent can encourage things in certain ways, and we don't go out of our way to encourage tennis. If they chose it, we would take a deep breath. It's not easy. You've lived it yourself, Vijay, with your son and what he's accomplished, and it's a tough road, you know. So, and you know the road so intimately. So the difficulty as a parent who's lived this life and this career is, do you really want to watch your child go through this experience where you know what they're in for before they even do it? And from a selfish perspective, I don't want to, you know. I want to share that experience with them. I don't want to know what they're in for, you know. So to say we would never decide for them, but we don't go out of our way to really encourage it.
You know your kids are actually grown up when you start going on triple dates with them. And no, I'm not talking about some awkward dinner where everyone's on their phones. Andre Agassi and Steffi Graf, two of the greatest tennis players ever, are out here playing pickleball with their 20-something kids and their partners. Jaden brings his girlfriend, Catherine. Jazz brings her boyfriend, Parker. And according to Andre, they just sit and talk. He says pickleball has filled a huge void in their family life now that they're in the empty nest phase. Just 6 people, some paddles, and actual conversation. Not too busy, not too bored, just that perfect balance of staying connected. Now, if you know anything about Andre's childhood, you'd know this is the complete opposite of how he was raised. The man who once hated tennis because his father forced it down his throat is now using a racket sport to bond with his adult children. But here's the thing. This wholesome family dynamic didn't happen by accident. Andre Agassi is, without a doubt, one of the biggest tennis legends out there, but what you probably don't know is that this tennis goat has one heck of a family story that shaped everything about how he lives today. From his record-breaking wife to his dad that was practically the brains and torture behind his career, let's take a look at the family behind this 8-time Grand Slam champion and how he broke the cycle to create something completely different for his own kids. His wife, Steffi Graf, starting with his beautiful and amazing wife, Steffi Graf. Sounds familiar, right? Well, that's because Steffi, like her husband, was a mean badass on the court. We're talking about a woman with 22 Grand Slam singles titles. Steffi is also the only player to have won each of the 4 Grand Slam tournaments at least 4 times. That includes 7 Wimbledon titles, 6 French Open titles, 5 U.S. Open titles, and 4 Australian Open titles. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. You see, Steffi also held the world #1 rank for a record 377 weeks. With a resume like that, it's no wonder she had a lot of folks running after her. I mean, holding the #1 spot for 7 straight years, that kind of woman will hold you for life. And that's why Andre was head over heels for her. Our boy was so in love that he wrote all the details about how much he was head over heels for her in his autobiography. It got so bad that he couldn't take it anymore. So Andre sent Steffi a message after the French Open in 1991. But she didn't respond to his text. Andre was heartbroken. He thought about abandoning his quest to win her heart and move on. But rather than doing that, Andre became even more determined to fight for his love. The opportunity to do that came at Wimbledon 1993. Steffi was on the hunt for another Grand Slam, and Agassi was, well, let's just say he was more focused on winning Steffi's heart than he was on winning matches. But as fate would have it, they both ended up winning the tournament. Agassi was so happy because this meant that he and Steffi had to attend the Champions Dance together to celebrate their victory. This was the best chance for him to steal her heart. But unfortunately for Agassi, Steffi didn't make it. After that day, Steffi never looked Andre's way again. Probably because she was in a relationship with Michael Bartels at the time, and Agassi himself was in a controversial relationship with Barbara Streisand, who was 28 years older, but ended up tying the knot with Brooke Shields. Agassi could have given up his crush at this point, but he didn't. He waited. And as he got divorced from Shields, he started trying his luck with Steffi again in 1999. Agassi even went as far as to schedule a practice session with her, and guess what? She actually agreed. And who said persistence wasn't key? After the session, Steffi warmed up to Andre, who continued doing everything to win her over. We're talking flower bouquets and all of that mushy stuff. He even wore a shirt with Steffi's face to practice one time. I'm telling you guys, these are the things women love. Agassi's persistence eventually paid off, and they began dating shortly after that. They began living together until they finally got married in 2005. And the rest, as they say, is history. The pair has been happily married for over 18 years now, and Andre has never lost an opportunity to talk about how his wife has always been the source of his motivation. What's even more fascinating is how they've kept their marriage so private. In an era where celebrity couples share everything on social media, Andre and Steffi have maintained an incredibly low profile. They rarely give interviews together, and when they do, they keep things focused on their charitable work rather than their personal life. It's this kind of maturity and mutual respect that has kept their marriage strong for nearly 2 decades. And while there's no doubt that love is all sweet, if there's anyone that deserves the most credit for Agassi's success, it's not his wife, but his dad, his father, Mike Agassi. Agassi's dad, Mike Agassi, was a former Olympic boxer, so he knew a thing or two about discipline and training. Mike was so obsessed about making his son a professional tennis player that Andre was under constant pressure as a child. Agassi once called his dad a mad scientist when it came to training him. Agassi's dad would sometimes invent crazy drills that involved hitting balls while standing on one foot or blindfolded. I mean, it was so bad that Agassi couldn't help talking about it in his autobiography when he said his father believed that if he hit 2,500 balls each day, he'd hit 17,500 balls each week, and at the end of 1 year, he'd have hit nearly 1 million balls. His father believed in math and numbers because numbers don't lie. A child who hits 1 million balls each year will be unbeatable. Damn. Mike stole pretty much his son's childhood. According to Andre, sometimes his dad would attach a tennis racket to his tiny hand when he was a baby just so he would get used to playing tennis. So as soon as he started walking, little Andre had to hit the court. Playing with other kids in the park? No. Time for that? No. Little Andre was forced to be hitting 2,500 balls every single day. His dad was just obsessed with building a big future for his son, whether or not Andre liked it or not. Andre knew his father was giving him too much pressure and was making him miserable by having to work too hard. But in the end, he did succeed. 8 Grand Slam titles and 870 career wins in his 21-year career, to be exact. It's fair to say Andre won it all. But here's the dark side of Mike's training methods that Andre later revealed. There was this machine his dad built called the Dragon. It was a ball machine that could fire tennis balls at Andre at crazy speeds, and his dad would crank it up so high that Andre would sometimes get bruised from the impact. Andre described it as feeling like he was in a war zone. The machine was relentless, and so was his father. Mike's obsession went beyond just physical training. He controlled every aspect of Andre's life. What he ate, when he slept, who he could spend time with. Everything revolved around tennis. Andre wasn't allowed to have a normal childhood. While other kids were going to birthday parties and sleepovers, Andre was on the court hitting thousands of balls. The psychological impact of this was huge. Andre has openly talked about how he actually hated tennis for most of his career. Can you imagine that? One of the greatest tennis players of all time, hating the sport that made him famous. That's the price he paid for his father's dream. But here's the thing. Despite all the trauma and the pressure, Andre doesn't completely vilify his father. In interviews, he's acknowledged that while his dad's methods were extreme and often crossed the line, they did work. Without that brutal training regimen, Andre might not have developed the incredible hand-eye coordination and reflexes that made him a champion. It's a complicated relationship, and that's why Andre made a promise to himself that if he ever had kids, he would never put them through what he went through. His children. Despite all of Andre's success, for sure he doesn't want his children to go through the same childhood, so he swore not to be like his father, and we can say so far he has done just that. The American tennis champion is blessed with 2 kids. His son Jaden was born in 2001, while his daughter, Jazz L, was born 2 years later. And just like he promised, Andre and his wife Steffi made a conscious decision to let their kids pursue their own passions. In an interview, Agassi mentioned that he prioritizes his children's education and tries to instill a strong work ethic in them. But at the same time, he tries to balance being strict with being supportive and encouraging. Andre and his wife also decided to let their children choose their own paths, instead of forcing them to follow in their footsteps. Andre's son Jaden picked up a baseball bat when he was just 5 years old, and in Agassi's words, he's never let go of it ever since. Jaden has been playing baseball at the University of Southern California, and we wouldn't be surprised if he makes it to Major League Baseball because his coaches never miss an opportunity to praise his excellent hand-eye coordination and his extraordinary abilities as a pitcher. Now you might be thinking, isn't having tennis legends for parents a free ticket to sports success? Well, apparently not in Jaden's eyes. He's so determined to make it on his own that he doesn't even have his last name on his jersey. And honestly, you can't blame him, because if you know a thing or two about the expectations that come with having successful parents, you'd understand how overwhelming the pressure can be sometimes. Jaden has talked about this in a few rare interviews. He's said that being the son of Andre Agassi and Steffi Graf is both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, he has access to incredible resources and coaching. Both his parents understand what it takes to compete at the highest level. But on the other hand, there's this constant comparison. People always want to know if he's going to be as good as his parents, and that pressure can be suffocating. What's really cool about Jaden is how he's carved out his own identity. He's not trying to be the next Andre Agassi or the next Steffi Graf. He's trying to be the first Jaden Agassi, and that takes guts. As for Jazz L, she's more of a mystery. Let's just say that she is a bit more low-key than her brother, so we don't really know so much about her, except the fact that she plays tennis sometimes. And when you think about it, it wouldn't be a bad idea if we have one more Agassi shaking things up in the tennis world again, right? From what little information is out there, Jazz L seems to be focusing on her education and keeping a very private life, which is pretty impressive considering who her parents are. Both Andre and Steffi have been incredibly protective of their children's privacy. They've shielded them from the media as much as possible, and they've made sure that their kids have the option to pursue normal lives if that's what they want. That's a stark contrast to how Andre was raised, where everything was about tennis and public success. His siblings. And speaking of siblings, did you know that all 3 of Andre's siblings are tennis players? Well, now you know. The American tennis player has 3 siblings, Rita, Tammy, and Philip, and they are all tennis players, at least until they decided to go against their father. You see, Mike Agassi was actually obsessed with making all 4 of his kids tennis champions. He didn't even care much if they liked the sport or not, so as soon as they were born, he forced them to pick up a racket. His oldest daughter, Rita, was the first to break free from his grip. She ditched his 5,000 balls a day rule to marry former world #1 tennis player at the time, Pancho Gonzalez. And can you blame her? Trading exhausting practice sessions for romantic getaways with a tennis pro sounds like a pretty sweet deal. Her marriage to Pancho was actually quite controversial because of their age difference. Pancho was 32 years older than Rita, and she was only 16 when they started their relationship. Despite the controversy, Rita has said that Pancho was the love of her life, and that escaping her father's tennis boot camp to be with him was the best decision she ever made. The rest of the Agassi siblings didn't fare any better in tennis. Philip, the second oldest, briefly played tennis professionally before realizing that the courtroom was his true calling. And Tommy followed in Andre's footsteps by pursuing a career in tennis, but unfortunately didn't make it big time. She did manage to win a few junior tournaments, though, so big props to her. Despite their dad's crazy obsession with tennis, the Agassi siblings managed to carve out their own paths in life. Rita became an Olympic gymnast and went on to work as a nurse, while Philip became a successful lawyer. And Tammy may not have become a tennis superstar, but she's now a respected coach and mentor to the younger generation. Through all their ups and downs, the Agassi siblings have remained close and supportive of each other's endeavors. Maybe it's their shared trauma of being forced to play tennis as kids, but their tight-knit family dynamic has undoubtedly played a significant role in shaping Andre's success, both on and off the court. His mother, Elizabeth Agassi. Now, the only member of Andre's family we haven't mentioned is his mom, Elizabeth Agassi. And to be honest, we don't know so much about her. All we know is that she's married to Andre's father and that she is a survivor of breast cancer, which inspired Andre to open a foundation that supports women with breast cancer. Elizabeth, known as Betty to her family, has always been described as the gentle counterbalance to Mike's intensity. While Mike was pushing the kids to their limits on the tennis court, Betty was the one who tried to provide some semblance of normalcy at home. In his autobiography, Andre briefly mentions moments where his mother would quietly slip him treats or allow him small rebellions against his father's strict regimen. Her battle with breast cancer really shook the family. Andre has said that seeing his mother go through that experience put everything in perspective for him. All the tennis tournaments, all the fame, all the money, none of it mattered compared to his mother's health. That's when he decided to use his platform and resources to help other women fighting the same battle. The Agassi legacy. Looks like the former American tennis star isn't just a hero on the tennis court, he's also a savior off the court. Beyond the Breast Cancer Foundation, Andre has done incredible work in education. He founded the Andre Agassi College Preparatory Academy in Las Vegas, a tuition-free charter school for at-risk children. The school has been incredibly successful, with a graduation rate that far exceeds the national average. Andre has said that education is his true calling now. He believes that giving kids opportunities through education is even more important than anything he accomplished in tennis. This focus on giving back stems directly from his own childhood experiences. Andre knows what it's like to have your choices taken away from you, to be forced down a path you didn't choose. So now he's dedicated to giving kids choices and opportunities that he never had. What's remarkable about Andre's journey is how he's transformed his pain into purpose. The brutal childhood, the conflicted relationship with his father, the years of hating the sport that made him famous, all of that could have left him bitter and broken. Instead, he's used those experiences to become a better person, a better parent, and a force for good in the world.